Somewhere there is a channel filled with dad jokes, and I will tell them. Somewhere there is a TV show breakdown with terrible accents, and I will do them. I am the middle-aged middle manager of YouTube, and I will usher you into a world of theories and recaps as a gatekeeper to the silly and unnecessary. I will be your shepherd when you are bored or drinking or smoking or can't sleep. And I will be your shepherd when you are bored. And I will be your shepherd when you are bored. Jesus Perry, Jesus Perry, Jesus Perry. Hey everyone, it's Brent the Middleman, your middle-aged middle manager in Middle America, here today with another video about Prime Video's western-y sci-fi series Outer Range. I will be breaking down the final 2 episodes of Season 1 and doing my best to explain what was going on in the series, so spoiler alert for all things Outer Range. With that out of the way, grab your 6-shooter and get ready for an old-fashioned showdown, because here we go. Episode 7 begins with a flashback to the local roller rink, where we find a young Perry beating up a young Trevor Tillerson. While we are hearing the dialogue about the fight, we can also see and hear that Royal is playing one of my old favorite games, Big Buck Hunter. The game is saying, shoot the bucks, don't shoot the doe. You know, doe, a deer, a female deer. Royal is nailing all the bucks, but then ends up shooting a doe, ending his game. I believe that this is meant to foreshadow his showdown with Autumn later on. He mistook her for a buck when she was really an innocent doe. It also foreshadows the story we hear later about how young Royal missed shooting a buck and accidentally shot his daddy. Rhett the Rat runs over and tells Royal about the fight, and we see that Patty the Batty is already with her son and yells at Royal, "He just cold-cocked Trevor!" So it looks like Trevor's always been a douche, and Patty's always had a big mouth to go along with that great nutcracker. Royal and young Perry then have a heart-to-heart on the drive home, where Royal tells Perry that there is something in both of them that makes them violent. Royal wanted to tell Perry right there that he killed his own father, but decides that it's not the right time. The camera then pans up to a sign that reads, "America tells you that the only things worth knowing are those which can be known. America is wrong." The sign looks old, like it's been there a long time, but it's the first we are seeing it in the show. Did Autumn's time cult build this sign and then send it through time? Let me hear your theories on this sign in the comments. The camera pans back down and we see that we are now in the present with Perry getting hauled off to the slammer. Jesus Perry. Sheriff Joy questions Perry, asking if he acted alone. She then asks him about Rebecca, and Perry says that he doesn't believe she is really gone. He says, "Maybe nothing's ever really gone. If time is indeed a flat circle, and everything is already written, then everyone is really alive and dead at the same time. The void just allows someone to find that piece of time when the person is still here." I know, go take some Tylenol and we'll talk more about this later. We see our favorite buffalo, or bison, walking towards the Abbott farmhouse, and I notice that the fence doesn't have the Abbott A over it any longer. Was it never on this particular fence? The family is understandably stressed over Perry's confession, Jesus Perry, and we see Amy with the bandage on her head. We then flash to Autumn smoking a joint at her motel, and a jump to Perry sleeping in his prison cell, while Royal and Cecilia drive to town to bail Perry out. Bail is set at $500,000, Jesus Perry, and the Abbotts put up the deed to their ranch, which they will lose if Perry doesn't show up in court. Jesus Perry. I'm sure I wasn't the only one who said right then, oh, so this is how Autumn or the Tillersons will get the land. When they get home from jail with Perry, Amy is in her room drawing the Abbott brand in her journal, just like Autumn showed her she does. Yeah, biggest hint yet. Perry is honest with Amy about what happened, and just like everyone else, Amy is wondering if Perry has been honest about what happened to her mom. Perry continues to say he knows nothing about what happened to Rebecca. In the barn, Perry asks Royal if he knows what happened with Rebecca, and Royal says no, but Perry doesn't believe it. And you know what? I don't believe Royal either. Royal would have known that Rebecca wanted to leave the ranch, and Royal would not have wanted this to happen. Have we been rooting for the bad guy all along? Sheriff Joy lets the Tillerson boys know what Perry told her about Trevor's death, and they aren't buying it. Billy tells them that Trevor was probably in some uncreated part of the world for the last 4 days he was missing, and not just tied up somewhere on the Abbott Ranch. Billy tells Joy about the hole in the world that Wayne found as a kid and how it could explain why he is the way he is. This just adds on the pile of crazy stuff Joy has been hearing about lately. First it was mastodons and vanishing tweakers, then she saw a mountain disappear, and now a hole in the world. Little does she know just how real all of this is about to get for her. Billy then takes Luke out to the void to show him what all the fuss is about, and if you look close enough, you can even see the little dollar signs appear in Luke's eyes. Autumn is on the phone with her mom and says, "Don't call me that." Is her mom calling her crazy? Is this her actual mom or an adopted mom who knows nothing about the ranch? We see Joy out to eat with her family when Frank, the mastodon guy, reminds her about all the craziness going on up at his place. He says, "It's worth doing a little digging. You never know what's coming down the pike." It really feels like he is trying to lure the sheriff up there, and we'll see later that he literally leaves a trail for her to follow. How much does Frank really know, and why does he want her to check it out so badly? Is it just the evil teenagers he's concerned about? Or did he know that he could get rid of Joy so Trudy Cole could win as sheriff? It's interesting that later on we see Luke doing a little digging, and he definitely didn't know that a stampede of buffalo or bison were coming down the pike. Cecilia gets back to the ranch and notices that her baby bear is missing from the shed. Big Mama Bear with the yellow snout finally tracked down her baby and is not too happy with Cece. Mama Bear attacks, but Cece is able to shoot her in the heart, angering all CGI animal lovers everywhere. This scene totally foreshadows Amy's mom Rebecca coming back for her baby bear, and this time Cecilia can't do anything about it. Then we see the strangest love story on television continue to play out as Billy tells Autumn that he ate the time dust from his dad's magic rock and had a vision with Autumn, Billy, and Royal all in it. Autumn tells Billy that she needs him to stop Royal from messing up her plans, then cuts the Abbott brand into his chest, making him a full-on Kronos cult member. Her name may be Autumn, but she had Billy rising like a spring flower. Billy tracks down Royal after he has some timely car trouble, and cowboy naps him to the roller rink we saw in the beginning. Billy lets Royal know that he knows about the void, asking Royal, "Do you think it's the end or the beginning?" Billy then does what many have tried to do but failed, which is scare the crap out of Royal. I'm pretty sure they're going to need to mop up that section of the roller rink if it ever gets up and running again. All that's left of the neon sign at the rink says, Row King. I definitely saw Royal King, which adds to my theory that Royal is a descendant of the king Zeus, who was son of Kronos. Amy has another heart-to-heart with a family member over ice cream, but this time it's with Perry. She asks if it's okay if she leaves with her mom if her mom ever comes back, and Perry says of course. Well, there you go, bye-bye Amy. Then we get a shot of Autumn, all in red this time, practicing her cult leader speech into the mirror of a Dairy Queen bathroom. Colors have been really important all season in the show, and I think the red represents Autumn's current state of aggression, while she is awakening to her true purpose. In The Matrix, the red pill is what woke people up to the real world, and at this point in the show, Autumn is a human red pill trying to wake people up to what is happening in this town. She has already opened Billy's eyes, and her next target is Perry. She is wearing yellow earrings, however, foreshadowing her rise to power, since she sees yellow as a power color. Joy and her family attend her tribe's celebration of their heritage, and she pays special attention to the older man dancing, who seems to be waving her towards him as if calling her. Even more foreshadowing this time of Joy's trip back in time, but I'll talk more about that later. Billy then catches Luke trying to suffocate Wayne, but before Luke climbed on top of him, he glances over at the buffalo or bison head on the wall, once again foreshadowing what Luke will find at the bottom of the hole in the west pasture. Sheriff Joy heads up to Frank's place to see about the mastodons and freaky teenagers, but Frank isn't home, so she wanders back onto his property. As she passes by a rock wall with the Abbott brand on it, almost pointing like an arrow, she hears Native American drums and throat singing. She looks down and sees a trail of void goo leading into the forest. Did Frank leave this trail for her to send her back to the past? Or did something come out of another void and leave a trail of it behind them? I'll talk about this more when we get to the end, but it does appear that this crazy time stuff isn't just happening on the Abbott's West pasture. Royal walks all the way back from his run-in with Baby Billy at the roller rink, only to have Perry ask him to ride out to the void with him. We got a lot of answers during this scene, as Royal finally comes clean to Perry and tells him what he was trying to tell him in the truck when he was a kid. We see the story of young Royal out hunting with his daddy when he spotted a beautiful CGI buck. But young Dick Cheney, Royal, missed the buck just like he did in the video game at the beginning of the episode and blew away his pops instead. Young Royal went back to his house but couldn't face his mom and sister and made a run for it, wanting to just disappear. As he's running away, the earth just opens up into the void. We get a super quick shot of a black stone on the ground, and I think this may be the rock Royal throws into the void in episode 1 when he first sees that it opened back up again. Young Royal sees the void as his chance to escape all his problems, which is what we use beer for in the real world. We find out that it was 1886 when Royal first went into the void, and he came back out in 1968, scaring the crap out of Lil Wayne. Is it just a coincidence that 68 is 86 inverted? Or is this a clue as to how the void can be used to jump through time? Or does the void only open up for certain people at certain times as part of some larger plan? Anyway, young Royal then finds the Abbott Ranch, where he ends up taking their last name and marrying their daughter, confirming what we already knew: Royal is a pimp. Royal's story doesn't have the intended effect on Perry, however, as Autumn has already convinced him that nothing is ever really gone, making Perry think he can use the void to find Rebecca or save himself or something like that, and the dumbass jumps in. Well, there goes the ranch, and way to abandon your daughter, Jesus, Perry. After Perry floats into the abyss, the earth closes up around the void, almost as if it was waiting for this last thing to happen. Royal is freaked out for a lot of reasons, as he knows he will probably never see his son again, they're going to lose the ranch, and his granddaughter just lost her father. Jesus, Perry. The camera pans back, and we see that Autumn has watched this all play out, knowing that she now has a chance to buy the ranch. Episode 8 begins with Sheriff Joy still hiking up behind Frank's place, and she comes across a herd of buffalo, or bison, and she can't believe how bad the CGI is. Has Joy just traveled back in time? More on this at the end. We get a shot of Perry floating in the void as he falls towards whatever time he is going to come out in, or it's showing us that he is suffocated and died in there, as we don't really see him blink or even move, and he even drops his hat. Royal's voiceover in the beginning about being filled with God's light as a kid until he shot his father and everything went black, and he realized that God is everything, all the good and the bad, tells us that Royal does believe in God, he just hates him. Royal and Autumn both go full commando and grab all the guns they can, letting us know that a full-on shootout at the Abbott Corral is on the horizon. Baby Billy sings about love rising from the mist as he sprinkles void dust on Wayne's lips, giving us a good idea of how the Tillersons and Autumn plan to use the void to make money and open people's minds. Luke recognizes the value first and tells Billy that they need to get it and monetize it, but Billy tells him that the hole is gone. I'm not sure if Autumn let him know, or if he has some kind of connection to it and he just felt it down deep in his waters. Baby Billy then gives Luke a big hug and tells him that if he doesn't try to kill their dad again, then Billy will give the ranch to Luke. This was definitely a Fredo, I knew it was you, you broke my heart moment between the brothers. At the motel, Autumn is on the phone with what I think is her lawyer, asking how long it takes a skipped bail to go to auction because she knows Perry isn't coming back and she needs money from her trust to buy the ranch. I'll talk more at the end after the big reveal about how I think Autumn got all her money. She then sees Royal pull up wearing his yellow shirt because he still has the power. Royal kicks in the door, but Autumn already escaped out the window. Cecilia realizes Perry is missing and flips out in front of Amy, throwing a glass at her "Oh Lord, reveal yourself to us" sign. Poor Cece, she has no idea that the Lord has revealed himself, and it's the source of all her problems. We see that Autumn was heading over to the bank to wait for her money transfer, where she argues with Maria about having her gun in there. Banks do tend to frown on that kind of thing. Billy the hero bursts in to let Autumn know that Royal is out to kill her and lets her know that he won't let that happen. Then they do their weird make-out thing while Maria looks on confused and disgusted. The song playing in the bank is Save the Best for Last by Vanessa Williams, and Billy breaks out singing, which is really the payoff for all the singing he's done this entire season. If you remember, he started singing for Amy when he gave her a ride, and now he is singing and making out with Autumn while she looks at him totally in love. It's like Eddie Murphy said, ladies love singers. Luke is out digging in the west pasture and lets Patty the Batty know that he finally found what Wayne always wanted out there, and it's super valuable. This is music to Patty's ears, and she tells him to get after it and to forget about wanting to kill him. As a parent myself, I was incredibly inspired by Patty's parenting. Cecilia and Amy set the table with red placemats on a yellow table. Autumn has worn some combination of red and yellow all season, and once you realize this, you start noticing how these two colors keep popping up everywhere. Let me know in the comments where else you noticed red and yellow. Royal tries to confess to Rhett at the rodeo about the void and where he came from, asking Rhett to find it again, probably hoping to either find Perry or keep it out of Autumn's hands or both. But Rhett has had it with Royal and the ranch and tells Royal that he's done with all of it and he's leaving. Royal can't even get the words out and tell Rhett how he feels, and it was at this point I got something in my eye. Royal is sitting with Amy and Cecilia when Autumn calls for him on Amy's cell phone. Autumn tells Royal that she's going to let him find her because she knows how it ends. But Royal says, I'm going to change how this ends. And there you have it. Royal has been hoping he can change the future, but everything we've seen tells us that in this world, time is a flat circle. Rhett, still distracted by what Royal was saying, takes a hard fall off the bull, and this leads Amy to run off, maybe to go and check on him or look for her dad. Cecilia notices Amy is gone, and for some reason knows that something is really wrong. That's when we see that Rebecca is there waiting for Amy as if she knew she'd be there. Part of me wondered if Autumn even told Amy to head over there before she asked her to hand the phone to Royal. Either way, they found each other, and Rebecca tells her that she had to hide. Amy asks, from who? But Rebecca just tells her that she'll explain it all in season 2, and they have to go right now. At this point, I also wondered if Cecilia really did see Rebecca driving that truck in town earlier in the season, and if she's just been hiding around there all along, waiting for this exact moment when Perry is floating in the void and Amy was all alone under the bleachers. Let me know in the comments what you guys think Rebecca was hiding from. We've watched Cecilia move away from her beliefs all season, and Amy disappearing was the final straw as she breaks down screaming, God is gone! He's gone! God is gone! Rhett has one last ride, even though his shoulder is wrecked, and he ends up winning the rodeo, while the haughty Maria looks on. We jump back to Sheriff Joy, who is still hiking, and for some reason it's still daytime where she is. She notices she has no phone signal, then looks over the ledge and sees the herd of buffalo or bison, and starts to cry as she sees an entire village of Native Americans. Luke finally hits pay dirt out in the west pasture, finding the void, and releasing an entire stampede of buffalo or bison. He avoids getting killed by just slightly moving over to the side, turning his head, and closing his eyes. Hey, it worked for Indiana Jones. Royal finds Autumn in town as they set up an awesome showdown in the middle of Main Street, complete with the old western whistling. Autumn says, "Yeehaw!" as Billy starts shooting at Royal. Billy picks up Autumn and Royal chases behind them. Royal lines up his rifle and puts a bullet right through Billy's throat. Well, no more singing. This forces the truck off the road and it flips into the field. I love this whole scene, and I wondered if this was the vision Billy got from Wayne's Rock and if he knew he was going to die. Autumn is still alive and dragging herself away from the truck as Royal steps up to put her down once and for all. But before he can do that, they spot the herd of buffalo or bison, and Royal jumps under his truck, while Autumn gets to experience Astroworld. Rhett and Maria are driving back from the rodeo to start their life together when the stampede pushes them into the America is Wrong sign. After the stampede, only the original buffalo or bison with the arrows in it remains, and Royal finally pulls out the last one, which seems to be all it really wanted all along. Royal then sees that Autumn is still alive somehow and finally puts it together that Autumn is actually Amy when he notices the scar on her head in the same place Amy got cut during the fight. We get flashbacks to all the times Royal's interacted with Amy and Autumn in the show, and he realizes that he needs to bring her home. As Royal lays Autumn Amy in her bed, we realize that Royal's speech at the beginning of the episode was actually him coming clean to Cecilia in the kitchen. As he stands there in his power yellow shirt, he apologizes to Cecilia for letting his pain ruin their family, saying he only wants his family back. Cecilia knows that it's too late, and she shows this by tipping over the table she set earlier for what she had hoped would be a family dinner. She tells him that the family is gone, the children are gone, that Amy's gone, but Royal tells her, no, Amy's not gone, and we hear the rattling slow cooker lid as it beeps, letting us know that dinner is ready. Definitely an interesting way to end the first season, with a lot of loose threads still out there. I really enjoyed the show, and I hope it comes back for a season 2, but it's always a tricky thing to make something interesting in a world where time is a flat circle, because we kind of already know where things are headed. So I hope in season 2, they figure out a way to drop hints that the future can be changed, or they use the void to let people jump around in time more. We will need to find out if Sheriff Joy traveled back in time, and if she will need to live with her ancestors, or if she is somehow able to make it back. Maybe it'll turn out that she's her own great-great-grandmother. I'm sure in season 2 we will see what happens when Luke and Wayne Tillerson start digging on the Abbott's land and start selling time in a bottle. We know they will use the BY9 mining company because we saw their logo in the future and saw the professor from the University of Wyoming at the Void site. I saw an interesting theory in the comments that the BY9 stands for blue and yellow, the colors from Amy's drawing, and the number 9, which is the age Amy became Autumn. Perhaps Amy and Rebecca travel back to the past and start the company in order to get rich off the Tillersons' mining of the land, and this is how Autumn got her trust fund. They then shut down the company, which is why their phone number didn't work for Royal, until the Tillersons need them again to mine for the Void. We need to find out if Perry is dead or alive, and if he is alive, where did he go? It looked to me like he died and Royal knew he would, but how did he know that? And did Royal actually change the future by saving Autumn Amy, or did he just help it along, and will we still see him die in Cecilia's arms with Autumn Amy right there? Maybe we will learn that this is just one version of Royal that dies, and there are other versions across time that can show up. The first season didn't really explain the Void at all, and there's so much they can do with that in future seasons, because they did keep saying nobody is really ever gone. I want to thank everyone for watching Outer Range with me over the last few weeks. If you like what I do here, please consider liking and subscribing, as it really helps out this middle-aged middle manager. Let me know in the comments what you want to see happen in Season 2, and I'll be back soon with some more videos on other shows like this. Thanks again for watching, I'm Brent the Middleman, and I'll see you next time.